Hey guys, I'm Tiffany Harlick, and I'm here to give you the astrology forecast for February of 2021. And the numerology is actually a really great place to start because we can look at the frequencies of the numbers behind the month and the year and start to get a vibe for the antidote of all of this crazy astrology I'm about to tell you about. So February looks pretty chaotic. I'm going to be honest with you. And starting with the numerology, right, we're shifting from a 6 month into a 7 month. A seven universal month, and we're still in a 5 universal year. So remembering that the 5 we can feel spread out, we can be scattered, where the 7 is really the number of wisdom and the number of the spiritual seeker. So if you combine the 7 with the 5, to me, this just is such a great month for self-study. So anything that's going on out there in the world that's affecting you, can you take it back and learn a lesson about yourself? This is also a number code for adaptability, and we are going to need to be adaptable during the month of February because I do see that we're going to have several disruptions. So reflection, introspection, without kind of taking it all the way to the edge where you become completely antisocial and detached, right? So just how can we incorporate some self-study into the month of February? So astrology at a glance, if you're just here for the short version, basically everything's in Aquarius. Mercury will be retrograde in Aquarius through February, most of February. February 1st, Venus enters Aquarius. The new moon is in Aquarius on February 11th. The sun will enter Pisces on the 18th, and we get a full moon in Virgo on the 27th. But one of the most, I guess, important or largest astrological events of the year happens this month as well. And it's the first of 3 times, and it's Saturn square Uranus. So these are the planets that rule or govern Aquarius, right? So it's Mercury retrograde, Venus in Aquarius, the new moon in Aquarius, and then these 2 titans kind of clashing. Now this clash happens roughly every 14 years because of Saturn's path. But it's a time in history where you can look back over the course of the last several 14-year periods and start to see some similarities. I'm not going to go into that in the podcast right now, but you can look up Saturn square Uranus and see why I describe it as a gong crashing. So what does it mean? You know, I do want to talk about that as a theme for the whole month, and then I'm going to break it down week by week. But this Saturn Uranus square, you know, I think that we'll continue to see more protests. I think we'll continue to see some type of systematic destruction, right? Systematic Saturn Uranus destruction, and really forcing systems to change. And I'm not just talking about the government, although that is the case, like for the US, right? This shift in power. It's not just about government, it's about exposing kind of the underbelly and breaking down things that were built on a false pretense or false premise. You can see it in the media with some exposés on even some of the spiritual figures that are crumbling down, basically. Saturn represents our commitments, our responsibilities, our disciplines. And so when Saturn is squaring Uranus, it's like our responsibilities, our disciplines, and our commitments are all challenged to the extreme. So if you're somebody who's not necessarily affected by the things going on at the global level, in your own heart, in your own home, you could be experiencing this too, just from your day-to-day commitments and long-term responsibilities. So how do we get through this, right? Consistency is the key. Being slow and steady, having daily disciplines, getting up and meditating at the same time at the same location. We're basically going to chop wood and carry water and call upon our spiritual disciplines to really anchor us and root us through some stormy seas, some rogue waters. So shifting to just discuss Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, Sasha Boyle wrote an amazing article about the Mercury retrograde cycles of 2021. So the 3 Mercury retrograde cycles are all in air this year. The first one happens to be in Aquarius. Okay, and so the themes are around education, around mental health, around social justice, around equality, things like this. But Sasha, in her article, really, I thought it was great that she pointed out that the North Node and South Node on the Gemini and Sagittarius axis, they've been there since May 29th of 2020. and they're not going to leave until December 23rd of 2021. So pretty much all year long. So it's possible, she's saying, and I agree with, that we may not see educational stability until the nodes shift again, until we get through these Mercury retrograde cycles. So there's a lot of room for improvement, and you can see how sometimes breaking things down in order to rebuild them can be positive. It doesn't all have to be tragic and exceptionally disruptive. It can be change for the better. So the first week in February, if we're looking at February 1st through 5th. So guys, it just looks a little nuts still. We've got the sun is squaring Mars. This can be when we're feeling irritable, restless, discontent, when we have a power surge of energy and no outlet for it. There can be times when you're really impulsive, when you say something and it just really has an effect out there that you might not have intended to have. So finding a healthy physical outlet to process emotions, whether it's anger or fear or concern or whatever it is, finding a really good rhythm to your physical health routine can be beneficial. So just being alert and being aware when the sun squares Mars, accidents can happen. It can be like silly tripping over something. So just be alert and be aware for your pets, for your kids, for your small people that are you're protecting and taking care of, right? Caretakers. So being aware of that. Also, Venus enters Aquarius on the 1st. And so the desires of the heart become a little bit more eccentric. And it's not just the heart, right? Venus rules love and money. Considering letting your freak flag fly, like considering connecting with your inner weirdo, like what do you like to nerd out about? And just let that light you up and ignite you and inspire you. What does that look like if you want to buy something that's eclectic? Like maybe you've always wanted a hairless cat, you know what I mean? Maybe you become strangely attracted to someone of a very foreign culture that speaks a different language. You know what I mean? Like it's these type of things that perk your interest up a little bit. But while Venus enters Aquarius, what that means is that she's going to semi-square both Neptune and then sextile Chiron, okay? And so what that means is we're feeling a little bit lost at sea. We have lost some of our spiritual anchors, and that's why I'm kind of driving the point home. Get your disciplines and stick to them every day, no matter what, in February. Venus semi-square Neptune, this can be distorted perceptions. This can feel like melancholy. This can feel some sadness. So we're also wanting to be extra careful around drugs, sex, rock and roll, alcohol, things that take us out of our normal, perceptions can, it's like a time when overdose or over to the extreme or clocking out or taking a hit of LSD and it turns into ruining your whole life. Like you've heard the stories. So just being aware of that and being super careful. If you have addictive tendencies, this isn't the week to try new things, okay, for sure. If you're feeling vulnerable this first week of February, that Chiron conjures up feelings that are just below the surface. So looking to your dreams, right? Neptune and dreams is a great healthy way to really explore and use the numerology code of self-exploration and just figuring out what's going on, what needs to be healed in your subconscious. Jennifer LeCompte just led a beautiful class on dream interpretation for us at White Skies, and it was so fascinating. We dissected my infamous bear dream, and I have some homework to go meditate with my bear so that I can play the dream forward a little bit. But this idea of dream interpretation and writing your dreams down during this time, one thing she taught was just the brain's function in terms of how you remember dreams and how you your only shot at remembering dreams is going to be first thing in the morning. So having something ready to write it down or type it out or put it on your phone or whatever is going to be crucial. So having a dream journal this week, I think will be fascinating. And then working with somebody to help you interpret it like Jen LeCompte, who can really guide you and help you see things from a different perspective, because I just feel like there's going to be some tendencies to get a little gloomy under this energy. So, setting aside what you think and being prepared for a new perspective, some new ideas. some new patterns, creating some new patterns. There's a last quarter moon in Scorpio on February 4th, which is my Mimi's birthday. I think she would have been 197. she lived to be 102. She was a remarkable woman. But February 4th is a special day for me. It happens to be a last quarter moon, like I said, in Scorpio, and this is a yin phase. So this is a surrender phase. And Scorpio is a fixed sign, and the moon in Scorpio doesn't necessarily inspire surrender, does it? Scorpio wants to hold on. They want to order the same thing at the same place. They want to have that sense of control because they feel so lost when there's no sense of order, right? And this comes from a wounded place. This doesn't come from like a jerky place, right? But it's a dynamic of energy where we're being asked to surrender to a higher power. We're being asked to surrender what we thought we wanted. And are we willing to say yes to the angelic teams, to say yes to a new life, to say yes to the path ahead without necessarily knowing what the next step is? And that can be uncomfortable for a lot of us. So, just an opportunity, just a little portal, a window of time that you can play with. It passes quickly. In love this week, because we've got Venus in Aquarius, like I mentioned, maybe falling in love with somebody that has unusual qualities, or falling in love with somebody for their inner nerd. Their Venus in Aquarius is a little freaky, right? Think of your Aquarius friends and consider their love life. There's also a Venus will conjunct Saturn. And to me, this is a little bit like Heartbreak Hotel. So Venus right by Saturn, it's like, oh, I'm getting weird. I'm like exploring this Aquarian side of me. But then here comes Saturn right there next to it. It's like, no, you've got these responsibilities. You can't go do this. So there's this dynamic going on. And so Saturn will constrict where Venus in Aquarius was really interested in exploring. So how can you be aware of that and then work with that with your own existing partnerships and those that you want to create? So, Saturn can create loneliness and isolation and detachment too. So if you're experiencing some distance, is it the right time to give somebody some space? Or is it the right time to come forward with a resolution? So everybody gets to decide that. In money the first week, I'm saying let's invest in things like space travel and new networks and launching new networks, or voting with your dollar, right? We're going to try to remain as flexible as possible throughout this month because we will see some surprise expenses. Venus will square Uranus, and so it's like, surprise, we didn't know. My big joke used to be like, oh, your kid will all of a sudden have to get braces, or there's this big huge expense that you weren't planning. And then when it happened to me, I stopped. That joke wasn't as funny. You know what I mean? But it's that kind of thing. In health, I'm saying purify, drink water, cleanse, sweat. This is not the new time to experiment with new drugs, and just don't put yourself in harm's way, basically. Go slow, chop wood, carry water, stay to your spiritual disciplines. Crystal for your desk is going to be fluorite for clarity and peace in the first week of February. The first weekend is February 6th through 7th. And I have given myself a note that this is about past life hangovers. What's going on is that Mercury, the planet of wisdom and learning and interpretation and communication, is going to semi-square Chiron, okay? Chiron, the wounded healer. So think about getting flashbacks or having deja vu or having memories bubble up again with the dreams. So just analyzing what's out of sync with the mind-body connection, or what is stimulating you into some thought, maybe some inner child work. So this is going to help point you in the right direction of soul growth, which again, we're working with the numerology of the 7 and the 5 for being adaptable and looking at ourselves for our soul evolution learning. All right, the next week, February 8th through 12th, maybe we're going to get some blasts from the past. This is a time when I think that we're going to see the effect of maturity over time. They're good, like there's the good and the bad and the ugly, right? So the good is that the sun is going to conjunct Mercury. This usually brings good news. This is when we are quick, when we understand things, when we get each other, when we have bright ideas, right? When we enjoy the books that we're reading, when we enjoy the conversations that we're having. Also, Mercury is conjunct Mercury, which is retrograde still. And this retrograde Mercury is semi-sextiling Neptune, while Saturn sextiles Chiron. So what can I make of that? This is the aspects of the dream weaver. And so you might be coming in and out of nostalgic states and what your childhood was like and patterning it. So you can work with these themes of dream weaving and nostalgia. That's the good news this week. The bad news, quote unquote, air quotes, is when we can look at these shared memories and look at the past and like, is that blocking you actually? So can we use them in a positive way to be able to move forward? So it's really possible that you don't have all the information that you need right now. And so again, I mentioned like feeling lost at sea, kind of feeling murky and some melancholic energies going around. Can we just chop wood, carry water, keep up with our spiritual disciplines, be kind, not hurt other people in the process? Everybody's traveling this rogue sea together right now. Now, the ugly aspect of that week, Mercury retrograde will square Mars. So Mercury's already retrograde. We're rethinking some things. We're rehashing some things. And it's square Mars, the planet of our drive, that inspires aggression, that inspires war, that inspires energy and primal instincts, right? So before you speak, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Right? Frustrations are likely going to arise, and you can get a lot of clarity and perspective if you just kind of stay the course, take a healthy pause, reassess, and maybe you need to do some pivoting because who knows? Like it could have something to do with the education system. It could be that somebody's not. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it there. Just don't make big important calls. Don't make big important decisions all month long. If you can just kind of stay the course, that's going to be what's best. Patience will be helpful. Now on the 11th, 211, 211, that creates 2-2. So it's kind of magical in and of itself. But on February 11th, we'll have a new moon in 23 degrees of Aquarius, right? So igniting all of the Aquarian energy once again. This new moon reminds us that our group alliances are changing. Who you're hanging out with could be changing. Who do you want to network with? Can you put yourself with an advantageous group of people that are uplifting and like-minded and can help with your goals, and that you can also be of service? What is your service work like, to the group, to the collective Aquarius? How can we be open-minded with creative new solutions? Aquarius is also very futuristic, very spacey, space-oriented, and governs artificial intelligence. So those are some themes to play with or to work with when you're making your new moon wishes on February 11th. This week in love and money, one of the best, I think, that on the 11th, we've got Venus conjunct Jupiter. And I think that's the best transit of the whole month for love and money. It's a great time to fall in love, to expand your heart three-dimensionally, to connect with people. It's an optimal time to increase both your net worth and your self-worth. So money and love are in the air around this fresh new moon on the 11th. In health, I'm suggesting slow down, vitamin up, move your body, meditate. Mars is going to sextile Neptune. And so this inspires us to get physical and metaphysical all week long. So run with that pun. Crystals for your desk. Let's try the chevron amethyst if you have one. The chevron amethyst helps with peace of mind. It also helps clarify our dream states and our meditative states. It can enhance our dream states and our meditative states. So putting one by your bed or where you sleep at night can be nice. Now, on the weekend is Valentine's Day, February 13th and 14th. We've got creative solutions available. The astrology really inspires us to resolve issues, to find harmony, to be a team player. Retrograde Mercury is going to be very close with Venus, okay? So there's a win-win available. You can reconsider. You can make a new path forward. Old flames can return. New feelings in old relationships can light up. So keep your heart curious and open. The good news also is that Mercury is going to kiss Jupiter on Valentine's Day. Isn't that sweet? A little makeout session. So things really heat up on Valentine's Day under an Aries moon. It's a fiery moon. Sidebar, it's also a good time to read, write, publish, because Mercury and Jupiter rule communications and expanding them and sharing them out into the masses. So if you're like not on date night and you want to sit at home and market or write or read, equally good. Okay, let's look at the next week, February 15th through 19th. This is when we start to, I guess, amplify that energy of the gong crash I keep talking about, the Saturn Uranus square. So even more are we going to be aware of the need to adapt to unexpected changes. Even more are we going to need to be like a leaf on a fast moving stream. Can we accept life as it is and be able to move forward? The idea that what you resist persists is going to surface. There can be stubborn moves, there can be stubborn moods, stubborn motives. These don't really serve us very well right now. So staying curious, staying open-minded, how am I reacting and responding, and just keep kind of taking it back to that like slow and steady move forward through self-introspection. So this gone crash happens 3 times. We've got it February 17th. This is when we're going to observe. We're going to be like, whoa. And it might not happen on that exact day. We're leading up to it, right? But that's the moment that it happens in the skies. So we're going to just be observing like, wow, the foundation is being shaken up here. What do I notice? How am I feeling? The second pass is mid-June. And this is when we're going to start to review. Oh, that pattern is coming back up. What's changed, right? And then on December 24th, it'll be the third round. This is where we're going to hope to find some completion. So themes for the year will really, I guess, stand out February, June, and December. And as the Merlin astrologer Rick Levine puts it, we go further into denial or we give our old shit up. So whatever you aren't evolving with begins to dissolve. So continuing to overcome odds and to dissolve that which isn't working, taking personal responsibility. So Mars squares Chiron this week, and this is a good omen for betting on the underdog. So stories about the underdog winning, of overcoming odds, this type of thing is going to be really popular and inspiring us at a deeper level. And happy birthday to all the Pisces, right? The sun enters Pisces on the 18th and will stay in Pisces through March 20th. So the sun in Pisces, yes, happy birthday Pisces, but we're all under that influence, right? And this influence is of universal wisdom and compassion. The peace-loving Piscean vibes are really helpful always, but it's also that charitable heart that can step out and be like, okay, where can I make things better? Now, the first quarter moon will happen in Gemini on February 19th. This is a Friday. And so this is a time to hire or to ask for help, to think outside the box, to delegate, to just kind of keep information flowing. This isn't a time to be like stopping or giving up. This is a time to just keep ideas percolating. All right. So wherever 1 degree of Gemini is in your chart, where can you get determined to keep the gates of conversation open? Now in love this week, I'm going to say, watch out for some zingers. Venus is going to square Mars. And so passions can sometimes result in volatility, right? Like sometimes we want what we want when we want it at all stakes. So just be careful. Like it can be very passionate in a good way, but it can also be like crimes of passion type thing, right? So just being careful with our dance in and out of our love life. And financially, I'm going to say remain conservative. Remain conservative for a while is probably going to be my advice. And then in health, let's see, we've got Venus is semi-square Chiron. And so knowing that this too shall pass, if you're going through some health concerns, knowing that this too shall pass, that maybe there's even a dark night of the ego happening, and so resulting in some physical ailments too. Like just how can we dial it in? You never know what battles other people are dealing with. And so just helping support people's health and healing however you can through interactions, right? And if it's your own, getting the support you need when possible. A crystal for your desk this week is going to be the rose quartz for just some comfort and some nurturing vibes. Over the weekend, yay, Mercury goes direct on the 20th. This is a time to focus your thoughts. The fog is lifting, but it's going to continue to lift for a couple more weeks while it's in its shadow period. So it's like, aha, we're seeing things a little bit more clearly, finally, by the end of the month, right? I'm also going to say every candle went through the fire. So don't be surprised if there's some uncomfortable conversations bubbling up, because Venus is going to semi-sextile Pluto. So the choice is yours, heal, let go, move forward, or, sit with some pain. So either way, you can move forward. The wound is the place where the light enters you, right? Says Rumi. And that's a good quote to take with you into the week of February 22nd through 26th. Venus is going to move out of Aquarius and into Pisces. So both the Sun and Venus are now out of Aquarius into Pisces. This is on the 25th. Again, bringing good news. Venus is what we call exalted in Pisces. And simply put, it's the constellation of Pisces is where Venus likes to hang out the most. Okay, so on the positive end, this whole cosmic configuration really generates forgiveness, kindness, generosity, intuitive nudges, and grace, right? On the challenging end, if everything has this polar dynamic, on the challenging end, sometimes we can see people-pleasing behaviors and really trying to like cover things up so that we don't experience somebody else's big, huge reaction. Also on the challenging end, our personal boundaries can be more blurry. So just being aware of that. At the end of the week, we've got a Sun semi-sextile Saturn. Say that 7 times fast. But this is a time you can really optimize your energy at the end of the week by clearing your clutter, returning to a more minimalistic way of life, being willing to do without certain creature comforts, and systematically letting something go, reorganizing. The change you're seeking, it's time to start it. Okay, it's time to get organized. The fog is lifting. We're getting more and more clear, and the effort that you put in, the work that you put in now, is having a karma boomerang, and it will come back. The seeds that you're planting, the hard work that you're putting in now, will have an effect. It won't not have an effect, right? If you go to the gym and lift weights, it will result in muscles. Same thing with your work and with your spiritual walk. In love and money, Mars is going to trine Pluto. This is very steamy. This is steamy love connections. This is mysterious ways of rising to power. This produces major transitions. This is what I consider like a cosmic power couple. And this whole transit is going to thrive the week of February 22nd through 26th, and it's going to come back again in September. So just notice who you're hanging out with, and notice what is driving you. This is a good time to check your motivations. In health, the Sun will semi-sextile Chiron and sextile Uranus, and so this is a good reminder that if it has been a melancholic month for you, to keep going. That personal breakthroughs are granted for people that are seeking creative solutions. And so stepping into action by the end of the month, dissolving ego issues, letting some optimism return, finding hope, right? And so some crystals to keep on your desk, or I'm suggesting we practice with tourmaline for grounding and a stabilizing effect. Over the weekend, February 27th, we get a full moon in 8 degrees of Virgo. An intention for you to work with is stability and consistency come naturally to me. The full moon in Virgo is a house cleaning of the heart. And so getting things in order, out with the old ways of thinking, old ways of behaving, old models, old systems, old shit in your junk drawer. You know what I mean? Like all of it just got to go. We are preparing the way for our spring garden in nature, but we're also preparing for this clean, fertile soil so that new things can happen, that new things can grow. The full moon in Virgo, good time to find closure at the very end of the month on the 27th. So a little sneak peek into March. I'm going to suggest that we consider that we have recalibrated ourselves by the end of February. Okay, we have recalibrated who we are, how we see things. Our perspective has changed. We've learned something deeper about ourselves, and now we're willing to risk our heart a little bit because we know exactly where we stand and what we stand for. So this March can be a very empowering month. We shift from a 7 to an 8 in numerology. The 8, if you turn it sideways, is the figure 8, right? The infinity symbol. And so this idea of risk and reward, of taking a chance on yourself. It could be that you're feeling all in, for no matter what it is. And so in March, we get the new moon on the 13th in Pisces. The full moon comes on the 28th in Libra. And the bigger, I think, thing that we're going to be feeling is that Uranus is going to semi-square Neptune and semi-sextile Chiron. So this is a long-running, repeating aspect, okay? And so shock, awe, new perspectives, unplugging, rewiring. Sasha describes it as creative tension. All right. And so she describes this in her Mercury Retrograde Guide, which is on the blog at wiseskiescollective.com. The Mercury Retrograde cycle it indicates that this Uranus Neptune situation is going to start during this Mercury retrograde cycle. So normally, she says, it's not a good time to be entering major business deals or making life-changing decisions. It's a restful space, and it's made for the Earth's future art masters of the new Renaissance. Okay, so if we're going to have a new Renaissance, and if we are experiencing that, it's almost like February is a resting zone. And so just going with that, trust me on it. So the invitation really is to make yourself available to yourself in the month of February. What do you want to learn about yourself? Do you want to explore through dream time? Do you want to explore through mediumship, through tarot, through astrology? We've got a lot of fun tools for you to play with. I am so honored to do the forecast for you. There are many astrologers out there. I've been studying for about 20 years. I practice Western astrology, and I'm always learning something new. So if you have feedback, if I missed something that you felt was really important, I enjoy learning from you too. I welcome you to join us at the collective at wiseskiescollective.com. We have an inner circle group on Facebook where I do free readings every Friday at noon, and then I repost them to our YouTube channel. So if this is your kind of vibe, then come hang out with us on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, all the places. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast or watching the episode here on YouTube. Until we can work together again, may you have a blessed February, and I'll seal this forecast in a sacred healing chamber so that all who listen will get an extra special moment of synchronicity as they listen. And namaste, guys.